and Grant, we all.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Health, Wealth, and Relationships with
Tisa,
and Grant. Hey, everybody.
good
It's a
morning, good
special.
morning. Happy
Why is
Thursday,
this
everybody.
morning so special, Tisa? What's so special about today?
You can't even wait. Can't even wait. So it's Grant's birthday, everybody. Let's say happy birthday to Grant.
Thank
Let me
you.
sing you my song. All my friends, I sing the happy birthday song, right? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Grant. Happy birthday.
Oh, that was so beautiful. I think you missed your calling. I feel you on that song. I am so happy. Thank you so much that we're
Ugh.
having our show on this very special day. So you wanted to make this day about resilience. Why do you want to talk about resilience?
Well, it's kind of fitting. It's your birthday. And so I thought, let's focus on Grant a little bit on his birthday. And you have a story of resilience. Then I thought, you know what? I have a story of resilience. So as we talk about resilience, we both have some world experience in the area.
Yeah.
So I thought, why not talk about resilience today?
Why not? Why not? I know you got diagnosed with breast cancer when you were 49. Single
Yes.
mother, you're doing a lot of things. Well, and at the time, but your kids were older, but man, you got hit by this particular ailment, this disease. But you always felt you were called for it. Tell us more about your story.
Yeah. So September 2012, diagnosed with stage 3 ductal invasive carcinoma, which is the most common breast cancer. But yeah, when it comes to me, like when I always tell my story, I was told by God like 10 years earlier, maybe 15 years earlier, that I would get breast cancer. And I said it to my cousins. I said it out loud. I think we're just I don't know, somebody that could have been when my aunt was passing for breast cancer. But I said, watch somebody else get breast cancer and watch it be me. Now, why would I say that as a child or a young teenager or young adult? I don't know. But I think that's when it was placed on my heart. So when I got breast cancer, I was not shocked, as most people are. So let's say start there. Most people are shocked and it's kind of like, what the hell? When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I was like, okay, Lord, what's the assignment? Right?
Mm,
And the assignment is help other women through it, walk through the journey yourself. Because I had, 8 rounds of chemotherapy. I had 33 shots of radiation. I had a lumpectomy. Blessings that I kept my breast. But I had to go through it. I couldn't just say, speak to women about breast cancer and not go through that journey, not go through the fire, I call it. I walked through the valley, and it's just really to show grace and mercy from God's. Look at me now. No, I don't look like what I've been through, right?
yeah.
And I just want to show other people that you can beat breast cancer. You can beat any kind of cancer, really, because we've expanded our mission. So it led me to my purpose, is what it led me to.
Well, and we're thankful for that. You've helped so many other people, especially women, Black women. I talk to you a lot. You tell me about the statistics, but we're not really talking about the statistics. We're talking about people, but because behind every statistic is a real life
Absolutely.
they're going through it. And I know when we were just recently here at the Enterprise Center, it was, hey, everybody raise their hand who's either had or been touched by some type of cancer. And everybody's hand went
Mhm.
up. So this is something that affects our entire communities
Absolutely.
throughout the United States. And what you're doing is so special. And we want to make sure that first of all, you are a seat of knowledge and that you know about these things and you're sharing these things. And we really got to get a handle on it. Every time I talk to you, you say, Grant, it's about you got to move. you say
You
you need
got
to
to eat
move.
right and move.
You got to
You got
eat
to
right
eat
and
right and
move.
move.
Eat
Yeah.
right and move.
So I started Pink Lotus because of the statistic, right? We're still 43% more dying from breast cancer as Black women than
Mhm.
anybody. I have to say that over and over again, because it's just like, when you get used to something and it's just out there and, yeah, I know that. But it's like, why ain't nobody, first of all, doing anything about it? Like, my
Right.
whole goal is to like take that statistic down, find out what works for us as Black women. We're different. I do know that. I've learned that over my 14 years of being cancer free. Our makeup is different. And it's just a shoot in the dark when we're taking medications that are really for white women because they're living, right? They're
Yeah,
living
yeah.
through, they don't have us, we're dying 43% more. So that means it's not really working, right? A lot of times we are taught later in stages, which it doesn't help our cause, right? So I employ ladies to get your self and breast exam. You can do them anytime. And if you don't know how to do a self breast exam, contact us at Pink Lotus. We'll walk you through it. We'll have classes. We're going to have classes about that because I'm trying to empower you to do something for yourself that doesn't require a doctor's visit. It doesn't require seeing anybody or going anything. It's just require you touching yourself, right?
Let's get deeper.
Know
I want to
yourself.
go deeper into resilience because it's at the point of, I would say, diagnosis. That point where you go to the doctor, you get an examination, and you normally, a lot of times this is routine. You finally they tell you this information. What's going through your mind? I mean, take us through that moment.
Yeah. Well, what's going through your mind is what the hell, you know? And when they say you have cancer, most people just kind of go into, it's a shock. So your brain shuts down. It really does. You don't hear anything else after someone says you have cancer. The word cancer just is one of those, the mechanism, everything shuts down. You don't hear anything else. So it's good to always take somebody with you if you're going to get diagnosed because but the resilience of it, once you get over the shock, it's going to require some mental resilience, right? Some mental strength, because now you've heard it. Now you got to decide mentally what to do about it. So it's like some people that are not resilient really give up at that time of diagnosis. Some people say, oh, that's it. I'm going to die from cancer. I don't want to take chemo. I don't want to take radiation. I don't want to do anything. I'm just going to give up and die. Some people do that. So if you don't have that mental strength to start showing the resilience from the beginning, it's probably not going to be well for you. You probably won't heal the same. You probably won't, your thought process will be different through the journey.
I think that's so important. So you have to have it's a certain attitude. As you said, you get knocked down. Obviously, you've been climbing through life. I was looking at it as a mountain, and all of a sudden you get knocked down and you roll down to the bottom of that mountain. And then either, as you said, you're going to stay there or you're going to start looking around to see how I can get back on this mountain and climb forward. Now, you went through some things. I think this is so important, especially for our audience, of gaps in the healthcare system where you say, hey, wow, where's this navigation? Who's giving me information? How come it's so hard? And you use this as your reason and purpose for developing Pink Lotus because you saw a gap in the care system. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, especially for African American women, there's, in my mind, I was thinking we're dying so much more. Why aren't there more programs for us? Why aren't people having more, even, doing surveys and doing research on us and trying to figure out this reason why? There's nothing was out there, let alone resources on support, right? So when I was diagnosed in 2012, the only group was out there was My Sister's Keepers. And bless their hearts, but they were just such an older group of ladies. I was 49. They were in their 60s and 70s. And so as much as they showed me resilience by living, they couldn't tell me how they got there. It was kind of like, baby girl, we did that 30 years ago. And most of them at that time just had their breasts removed. So I didn't have my breasts removed. So there was just a disconnect on the treatment, like what to tell me to expect. They couldn't tell me what to expect. How to heal from any of these things because it was so long ago. And so I was just called to start Pink Lotus. I prayed on it. I was with them for 4 years. And when Jackie Hill passed, I started Pink Lotus out of need. I'm trying to develop a sisterhood that we can learn from each other, right? We can talk to each other, but learn from each other and really support each other through it. Black women, we don't support each other well. I don't see a lot of collaboration and love for sisterhood. Okay. You do in your sororities and stuff, but I don't belong to a sorority. So I kind of miss out on that whole sisterhood piece. So I'm trying to create that within our own little cancer community, a sisterhood and now even a brotherhood of any kind of cancer, where we could just kind of talk through it, talk about it. It's a real mental and emotional, you have to drum up your emotional resilience, so you have to get, it's a mind fuck, I always say, especially when you're talking about boobs.
Yeah.
It's a real thing for women. That's our girl parts, right? That's our lady part, our ladyhood. So emotionally and spiritually, you need to find some connections, so you can be able to share and walk through that with somebody else.
All right, there's a story that you told me, and I want you to tell that because it's such a beautiful story that you had got diagnosed, you had cancer, but you were in your neighborhood, you were driving down the street, and you saw this home, this house, and it had all this pink, paraphernalia all over the place. And you said, this person maybe knows about, survival of cancer and became a good
Yeah.
friend. Tell us about that story.
That is all a part of my story. So if you ever read, I had a lot of people do stories on me in ink, so I have to bring those up. But look on the website. But basically, Karen Cruz, who is my girlfriend, and Karen, we both live in the Blondo area. So I live up on, she lives down on 52nd and Blondo. You probably have passed her house if you've ever gone up and down Blondo. Karen has a pink house. Well, it's a brick house, but every accent, she has a pink garden. And so what drew me to her house is this beautiful pink garden. Her mom knows how to put them flowers out there. And it's just all types of different pink flowers. And then a couple of years back, she got hope on her roof. But at that time, nothing was on the roof because this was 12 years ago, right? 14 years ago, 2012. So I said, that girl must have gone through breast cancer. I had just got diagnosed and I just pulled over and knocked on her door. I'm like that, that's me. So I was like, let me see what she got to say. Let me see if she can give me some guidance or whatever. Yes, my Sister's Keepers were out there, but again, I didn't get the resources that I needed in terms of like what to expect, like what's next, like how do I navigate? And so lo and behold, Lord sent me Karen. So I stopped her. I barged in on her life, however that works. We were put together. And she said, come on in. Yeah, I'm 3-year survivor, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, great. Then you're not so far out. Cause my Sister's Keepers, they were like 10 years out, 20 years out. She was right there, still in the pocket, I want to say, under her 5 years. And so she just told me her story. Now, she scared me to death during her story. Let me tell you that, because she went through a lot more, because there can be a nightmare of things that can go wrong when you take chemo radiation, right? You can have sores that break out in your mouth, in your private area, not just, it eats away at you. Chemo eats away at you. It can really break down things in you. So she was telling me about sores and all this stuff. And I was like, helpful, but scary. Right. Just told me her story, but she was just open to say, you need to come by and talk and whatever. We are besties now. Matter of fact, Karen, if you're watching, it's time for dinner. Yeah, we go to dinner and we're neighbors. We live down the street from me, up the street from each other. So she is recently going through another second bout of, and actually she's cancer free. She has a whole new story to tell about implants and how if they've leaked, there's some cancer that they can give you. And now she has had that tissues taken out and she is on the healing end of it. But, a second bout of scariness for her. Right. And so we've been going through that just recently, but praise God, she is healing and cancer-free at this moment, and hopefully will stay cancer-free, and we can continue to expand her story like to round 2. But yeah, the journey continues, and the journey continues for all survivors. It does not stop at treatment. It actually begins after treatment.
Well, I want the audience to make sure they get these key takeaways from Tisa's story, that your diagnosis does not define your destiny. You've got to have the will to survive. And that healing includes your mind, your body, and your spirit. And as you just heard, your story can become someone else's survival guide. And there is purpose that can be born from pain. And you have done that. You feel this is a calling for you. And you brought your whole self to this table.
Absolutely. Absolutely. First and foremost, grace and mercy. I think the whole purpose of me surviving cancer is to bring people to God. He is the healer. I tell people also, when I first got my treatment, I might have been getting sugar water. I did not have insurance. So don't let that deter you from getting treatment. Some people just be like, look, I can't afford it. Bump that. I didn't have insurance. He'll make a way. He'll make it for you before you pay for it. He'll make a way. So I didn't have insurance, and they sent me over there. They was like, well, your treatment, you can get it at the hospital. And, I had to do a double take. I was like, so why am I being separated for the other cancer patients getting treatment? Am I getting something different?
Yeah.
And And I think I was getting something different. Just honestly, I really think I might have been a test subject. I might have been like sugar water. I might have been like, because why would you move me? And they didn't ever give me a good reason on why I had to be moved other than insurance purposes.
Right.
Okay. So billing and all that, that's just to say grace and mercy. Whatever worked and they put in my body worked. I had not had any setbacks, cancer, reoccurrences in 14 years. And I'm just here to tell people Pink Lotus is here for you. If you diagnosed with any cancer, there's a group of ladies that meet for breast cancer. We just met last night, a lovely group of ladies that are all breast cancer survivors. And I hope and have developed this sisterhood that they can trust each other. We share. If there's any reoccurrences, we share our fears of that because that's an ongoing fear. But we also just share information on what's working for us, holistic living and tips. We take sea moss, we take soursop. We encourage those cancer fighting fruits and vegetables. We really encourage just holistic living, mind, body, and spirit. And so that's prevention. That's working from a prevention mindset. And so that's what we want to teach the community is prevention.
Love it.
Yeah. Yep. So awesome. So Grant, enough about me. Enough about me. It's your birthday.
Yes, it is.
And as we talk about Grant and Grant's journey, Grant has also experienced a different type of resilience. Now, there's all types of resilience, right? You can have resilience from a medical thing like me. You can have resilience from a relationship. You take some resilience to get over divorce and separation and grief if you've lost a mate. But for you have a story about resilience when it comes to just life happening, right? Sometimes you get comfortable in a job and you can be doing stuff for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden, the job is gone. So tell us your story about resilience and how you turned it all around, show resilience in terms of your life change. When life changes and throws you lemons, what'd you do?
Yeah. I was living in Miami, Florida at that particular time. It was 2019. And I had just, the year before, was celebrated as a top sales achiever for a very large company that was based out of Seattle, Washington. And then in October of that year, this is October 2019, I got a call from my boss saying, "Hey, we just we've had a layoff, and we've got rid of a whole division. The entire division is gone, and unfortunately, you're impacted." And
you're impacted.
You're impacted. That's the word for it. You're impacted.
Okay.
And you won't be, part of our family going forward after October. And that was pretty much the end of the phone call. I got a little bit of severance package and all that. But now I'm sitting here and I'm like, at the time, I think I was 56, 57 years old. It becomes a change. So you're dealing with ageism, which is a real thing, right?
Real thing.
Great experience and things of that nature. You can still bring a lot to the table. I had shown value, but at the same time, the industry had changed over time. So where before, in my particular world as a business development professional, anytime I went through a job change, it was not very long. I've never had long bouts of unemployment in my career. This time has gone in October, I got it in November, I got it in December. The phone's not ringing, right? I'm sending out resumes, I'm doing all this kind of stuff. The phone is not ringing. And I'm starting to come to realization, like I'm getting too late in the game. This is the fourth quarter, more or less, especially career standpoint. Like I've got to start being able to sustain myself. I can't depend on corporate America to have this W-2 lifestyle. And that, at the time, I didn't even think about that. W-2 lifestyle. W-2 lifestyle is different from an entrepreneur or business owner lifestyle. It's a different mindset completely. And so I had to start this process of understanding that even though that you may be employed, and I'm talking to my career professionals right now, it's a contract of service. Whether you realize it or not, you are an entrepreneur. You are a business owner. You have a contract of service with your employer. Every time you sign an agreement, the T's and C's and whatever the HR package gives you, that's your contract of service. Right? That's what you're expected to do. But at any point in time, that contract can be changed, right, and severed. And if you don't think like that and realize, just like what any business does, you can't depend on one client. right? You
Right.
have multiple clients, usually when you're a business owner, because things change. So that was a mindset shift I had to change. Now, I have been doing some things along my life that people started to reach out to me and said, "Hey, Grant, you have built such a brand on social media through LinkedIn. We see that you have very influential contacts in South Florida. Would you like to become a 1099 a contractor for our company? Because we're in Wisconsin or we're in Minnesota, and we want to tap in to that South Florida healthcare community that you've built out." And then the light started going. So that was the start of Five Star BDM. When I first started, that BDM stood for Business Development Manager, because that was my title during my career, business development, right? And that's what it started out. And then I started to morph into more brand development, because it was the brand that people found value in. It was my personal brand of myself that what people found value in. Like, hey, this person is the face of a brand that I can work with. He's already been educated. He always has a lot of experience. He already has a lot of knowledge in healthcare and technology and finance. Why don't we work with him? And that's when the light went off. And then January 2020, I started my own business, right?
Awesome.
I took that leap of faith. I said, hey, I've got to will myself to another level, because doing what I was doing before really was not going to be a great probability of success, given my age, given the time, what was happening. Like I eventually did get another job, because I encourage people, don't just go into entrepreneurship without having any kind of income coming in.
Yeah. Yeah. Takes a while.
Still looking for, because my mind shift had changed. I was looking for an employer, but more or less a contract with this employer. I told them I had a business. This was my main thing, but I would work with you on doing technology for a pretty large company also. But my number one priority was building out Five Star BDM. Then we went smack that into COVID, right? That's exactly what
I was going to say, ain't 2020 COVID?
It went smack dab. So I started my business, and I was like, oh my God, am I going to I have to have some kind of income coming in. But I was able to get a job, security job during COVID. I never even saw my boss. I worked there for like almost 2 years. Never saw her.
Different. It was in a different state.
They're in a different state. They had some offices in South Florida, but we never got together for whatever reason. So I was working totally virtually. I would go out to different, healthcare facilities and that type of thing. But at the same time, I'm building out Five Star BDM. I'm going through that whole journey of finding out what works, what doesn't, having to build this whole thing out, starting over, losing clients, gaining clients, seeing what it's really like on that top year until you finally get rhythm. You got to find your rhythm. You got to find your harmony. You got to understand this is purpose. You have to have a will to say, this is what I'm going to do. Hell or high water. And for me, that's what it was. Like, there is no other. There is no going back. This is it. And so now I'm 63 years old today, knock on wood. 5-6 years later, I have a very successful business. I've been ranked number 1 in the world for podcasting by FeedSpot for my personal brand podcast. I've been ranked number 8 in the world for global branding. I was never a branding person per se, but I know how to sell. I know how to market myself, and I got recognized for that. I got recognized by Thinkers 360 as number 2 or number 3 in the world around AI and AI deployment. So I've taken that shift and taken my domain authority, and I've crystallized it into Five Star BDM. And I brought that from Miami to Omaha, which you see last Friday. We had our launch. Me and Tisa did that at the Enterprise Center.
Thanks for those who came.
What? Yes. Thanks for everybody coming out from Omaha. We had a full crowd there, but I'm bringing value to everybody. So that's my resilience around it. My BRAVE framework is all about that. So BRAVE is my acronym. It's trademark. Something that I own. I always tell people you got to own something. So it's a trademark that I own. But BRAVE stands for brand identity. It stands for resilience, as we just talked about, authenticity, visibility, and execution. So that's what that's all about for me.
Awesome. So I think what you're saying is, to wrap all that up, is wealth resilience is about adapting, right? When you have stuff happen, you got to make some decisions. And like you said, when you get in a fourth quarter like us, you gotta take all of that you learned in all those years and just kind of put it together and show some resilience. But you gotta adapt, because people are a lot of people are in cushy jobs they've been having for years and years and years. Then all of a sudden, just like your company, there's cutbacks
Yeah.
or we're downsizing, whatever they like to call it. And you're like, wait a minute, I've been here 20 years or I've been here 10 years or whatever. And you thought that was going to how you was going to retire. And then you have to pivot. So you have to adapt and then you have to pivot like you did, right? Pivot means like, what am I going to do now? Got to do
You
something.
gotta accept the reality. Sometimes people don't accept the reality. They want to accept an illusion, thinking, "Oh, well, it's going to come back," and that could be in relationships as well. You think this is going to work out. Unfortunately, I've been through a couple of those things, or you've been a couple of those things. You're going to come to a realization of what this really is, and then you can make that pivot. But you got to own it. You've got to have a commitment around that. I know we got a couple of minutes here. We got to talk about relationships, right?
Yeah, talk about it.
So important, right?
Yeah. So relationships. So different types of things you can be affected to show resilience through your relationships, right? Losing your partner. That's kind of a main one, kind of in our age group. Now we're losing parents, but we're also losing partners, right? Some of our classmates have passed, and you're losing partners, you're leaving partners along. But you got to show resilience to loss. Get grief counseling. That's important. People don't really. Grief sends you into something you don't even know you knew how to do or know you were in or how you were going to react. Nobody knows how you're going to react, especially to a partner loss. So get some grief counseling. Get help through that journey. It's a real thing. It can cause some people to get depressed. So I want to really speak to grief counseling because we're losing a lot of people. There's more people dying than babies being born around us. So do that. Divorce and separation. You have to rebuild, right? So it takes some resilience to rebuild, right? You got to, first of all, rebuild your confidence, right? Because when you lose a partner, especially by divorce, somebody got left. And so you got to rebuild your confidence to even get back in the game or to not be stuck in that past.
Being able to trust. You lose your trust. You're like, I can't, who can I trust? Especially somebody that close to you.
Absolutely. It's healing. Because first you got to heal from the past relationships in order to move on, right? Sure. Figure out what went wrong, own your part in the relationship breaking up, and move forward. I mean, the only thing you can do is let it go. Don't be stuck on, and don't bring in baggage from an old relationship to a new relationship. So you really got to figure out what went wrong, own your part, let it go, and try not to repeat it.
What you said there about giving yourself some space so you don't jump into another relationship, especially if you've been in a long-term relationship 10 years. You're going to have to give yourself at least a year or more just to be right with yourself. Because to your point, you are going to bring that baggage, that mental, that emotional baggage into that new relationship. And this other person that had nothing to do with that, and they don't even know what they're fighting against. They're like, well,
well, and you have to heal from relationships. You can't just jump from one relationship to the next. There has to be a healing process because you're letting go of something that you've been around, you're letting go of habits, you're letting go of emotions, you're letting go of attachments. All of those things are real things that you have to give time to heal before you bring somebody else into that. If you do it, like you said, it carries over. It's not a good thing, right? So make sure you heal from past relationships. And then healthy things about relationships, make sure you move into relationships where there's communication.
Yeah.
Communication is key. You always hear that, right? When people say, what's a healthy life? Communication is key. It is so true. You have to have conversation after conversations about what's going on. When the communication break down, that's when you start misunderstanding your partner. That's when you start assuming things, right? There's no communication. And then boundaries.
Boundaries.
Right? You had a relationship that didn't have boundaries. You got to set your own personal boundaries, which you really, really and will not accept. I know the fourth quarter is all about you got to set me as I am at 63, not how I was at 20, right? I know what my boundaries are now. I know the things I really am not, are their deal breakers. When you're young, you don't know what the deal breakers are. When you're 62, you know what the deal breakers are. I would never marry a smoker.
Yep.
That's a deal breaker. Sorry. I would never marry a person that does not believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
Those are deal breakers. So there's some things that are just know your boundaries, know your personal limits. That's growth.
All those things are important to understand. It's a maturity model, where you're at, and everybody's at a different level of that spectrum of that cycle of experience.
Yeah.
And kind of where we're at right now, as we wrap up, we're going to go to lunch. because I'm gonna celebrate my cycle of experience, my
See,
relationships together with people that love and care about me, and I love and care
yes.
about them, and I like that they reach out. I just saw this post. Tisa just put this post out with me and my picture in this caricature. I don't know how she did it, but she got like 15 pictures of me on my birthday. I was like, wow, that was so cool.
That's so cute. That's the AI. I'm trying to embrace AI. We had our accelerator. My deal is starting to play with it, but then also, work it into continually to build Pink Lotus.
Sure.
That whole accelerator is about building on your brand. I think I have a brand out there. I'm trying to use and put my brand out in different ways. I think the caricatures are fun ways. You don't want to see my pretty face all the time. Sometimes you might want to see my caricature. And sometimes you might want to see, some moving things, but I'm all accepting of it because it just lets you reach a different way. People have commented though, that's not you and blah, blah, blah. Everything doesn't have to be me. If the message is the same, if I'm saying have a beautiful day and it's my picture of a picture, the message is the same. Have a beautiful day.
It's all about the
it's still
message, not the messenger, but it's a newness. Anytime you do anything new, there's going to be people have to get used to it.
Yeah.
We got used to so many things. I remember when cell phones first came out, like I'm not going to never call anybody while I'm in a car. Why would I want to do that? So we at any kind of newness,
and people don't even know
to evolve and adapt and make, and then becomes the norm. And all it is just expansion of communication.
That's all.
And then you've got text, you've got audio, you got video, but you're getting attention. You see, you would not have built Pink Lotus without building your brand. You've been doing this 8-9 years. You would have just been one person out there with a voice. Now you're speaking to women, not only here in Omaha, you're speaking to women nationally and internationally through platforms. That's a big, big deal. You would have never been able to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me say, go to our website. And I don't know if I ever thank you for helping me build our website, but 5-Star BDM has helped us build a wonderful website. Go to our website for resources. I know I'm just doing another plug for Pink Lotus, but always I want people to know that there are resources out there for health, wealth, and relationships. Our podcasts are on our website, but also there's resources for cancer under our resource button. We have an upcoming event, plug for our upcoming event. Tickets are already on sale for the Struck for the Cure fashion show. Yep. This is our 6th annual fashion show for all cancers. The survivors are getting psyched up and ready to put on another show, but it's a celebration. So we always want to make sure you come out and celebrate with us cancer survivors.
And you're going to be tomorrow, you're going to be down in Dreamland, right? Is that tomorrow or Sunday? Saturday or Sunday?
What's that?
You're going to be on Dreamland for the Easter program?
No. So 2 events of Pink Lotus to be at this weekend. The Black Family Health and Wellness. Go to that. A lot of people are already aware about that. We've been doing that years at North High. Come and get your free screening. Bring the family. It's a family affair. They do all screenings there. There'll be people from all the health areas to do free screenings. Come and get your blood pressure checked. Come and check your diabetes, sugar levels. Come get all that checked out on Saturday. North High, 8 to 1 p.m. Okay. Then after that, there's Easter in the Village. So Easter in the Village is an empowerment network thing. So they do Christmas in the Village. Now they do Easter in the Village. Again, a family affair, blocking off the streets. Hopefully it'll be nice. Vendors will be there. We'll be there for information, of course. But there are also people will be selling stuff there. So you can, get your favorite local whatever. They make everything. We're very creative people. So there's all kind of businesses out there. Bring the kids. It's an Easter egg hunt. The Easter Bunny will be out there. Take pictures with the Easter Bunny. All that Easter stuff. Come on down. That's from 12 to 3 Saturday. Okay. So it's an all-day thing. Stop at the North High, then move on down to 24th Street and get your Easter follicles on. And I said follicles. Easter festivities on. Stop at our table, get some information, and have a good Saturday.
You gotta enjoy. Especially spring has sprung.
It's supposed to be warm Saturday too.
I'm soaking it in. 80 degrees. We got Miami and Dreamland. How about that?
That's Miami and the Big Little O.
Now we will make sure our audience we have key takeaways in the health world, turning pain into purpose. Make sure you write that down. Turning your pain into purpose.
Turn your pain into purpose. Find out, don't just say why. Say why not me. Say why me. Say why not me. And figure out what if you don't have a test, you don't have a testimony. So figure out why you got this test, pass the test, give God his grace and mercy, give God his glory for saving you, and help your sister. My deal is help the next person. Don't just take the blessing and run, help the next sister. That's not just my purpose. That's everybody's assignment, is to help the next one up, pull the next one up, pull your sister up.
I love that. I love that. And then the wealth world, as you heard from my story, turning loss into opportunity.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of change with the AI and things like that. It's going to be a lot of shuffling and moving in the corporate space. Things that you thought were, a very safe space might become uncertain. So you're going to turn those loss and opportunity. Take this time now to learn new skills that are valuable to other people.
So when they come for your job and say, well, I can have AI do that, you'd be like, I can direct AI to do that.
Exactly. Love it.
Right?
You said
Be on top of it. Be on top of
that.
Yep. And
relationships, turning these challenges into growth. You got to give us your final thoughts about all these things, Tisa.
Well, I just say, as you know, resilience can be it can be across the board. You're going to have to show resilience in your life to get through things. There's going to be barriers. There's going to be trials and tribulations, but everybody has resilience in them. You just got to make up the mind, make your decision to pivot, to change, to redirect yourself, and show some resilience. It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Absolutely. I want to piggyback on that, because tonight we have the Nebraska Cornhuskers basketball team for the first time in their history are playing in the Sweet 16, and they're playing
Sweet 16.
They're playing our neighbor, the Iowa Hawkeyes, right?
Which has always been our nemesis. Iowa, for whatever
reason, those IOWA idiots out walking around. Sorry, it didn't, no pun, but obviously we're going for the Cornhuskers here in Omaha, Nebraska. But when you're talking about resilience, when you watch a sporting event, you find that there's always ups and downs. There's always upsets. There's always turnovers. There's the certainty becomes uncertainty and vice versa. It's just a pivotal game. That's what creates excitement. It creates emotion. It creates drama. But that's life. And we can take notes out of these things. There's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. But guess what? They're going to play again. And that's the thing. You got to play again, whether you're knocked down with a life-threatening disease like Tisa just talked about, or a job loss like I just talked about, or a relationship breakdown as we all both just talked about. You're going to live again, and that's what you got to prepare yourself to do.
So my final words are, you're not stuck, you're being shaped.
Stay rooted, stay strong, stay resilient. Check us out next week. We're bringing all these episodes on health, wealth, and relationships from
Tisa
and Grant. So thank you very much.
Remember to eat well and move.
I gotta move today. It's my birthday. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna move a little.
I'm gonna get him on the floor, and you can see he probably got too much rhythm. We're gonna have him move and move.
I like that.
Happy birthday, Grant.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and we'll see you later. Bye, everybody. Enjoy.
Imagine waking up with more energy, a peaceful mind, and relationships that grow stronger every day. That is the vision Tisa Harden and Grant McGaugh want to help you achieve, and it all starts with simple, practical steps you can take this week. On health, wealth, and relationships, every episode brings you real stories and trusted experts. Tisa and Grant focus on 3 tactical steps each week. Small, doable moves that protect your health, grow your savings, and bring you closer to the people you love. No complicated rules, just real progress. Try a clinic-to-kitchen swap to boost your energy. Start a money buffer habit that quietly builds your financial confidence. Or try a 1-minute exercise that helps you reconnect with your partner. These quick wins are not chores. They are steps toward a better life. People who try just one intentional step report more energy, less money stress, and evenings full of laughter again. Join Tisa and Grant. Start small, live bigger. Tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and subscribe now.